Welcome to this week's NORA Startup webinar, which will be about nothing else than cloud services. We will learn about cloud service providers because we have invited Xiaopeng Li from Microsoft, Kristian Fjellhaug and Jarle Bjørgengen from Safespring, and Frode Langmoen from IBM. They will introduce their services and explain what the various companies have and can offer startups. We will then be introduced to different cloud service providers and their service catalogs. We will hear a brief description of what they can provide in storage, computing, and other tool services that can offer both researchers and startups in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics. And first off the talk is Xiaopeng Li, who is working as in cloud and AI business lead in Microsoft Norway. After that, we will hear from Kristian Fjellhaug, the sales director of Safespring Norway, following Frode Langmoen, senior technical specialists at IBM. And after these introductions are finished, we will then, as always, have a debate among the participants. This is part of NORA Startup, and NORA is a national innovation network that focuses on research-based innovation and works to facilitate a tighter dialogue among academia, which includes myself, students, and startups in Norway. My name is Morten Gudvin. I'm a professor in computer science and artificial intelligence at the University of Agder, and I have the honor of leading the webinar today. So keep in mind, the audience, this is really for you. There are questions that you should ask when you speak. So whenever you have a question, either ask them in the question or answering system or in the chat below. So without further ado, we will ask our first speaker, Xiaopeng Li, to prepare. And as I said, he is in the cloud and AI business lead at Microsoft Norway. He leads the go-to-market strategy and execution of Microsoft Azure. He's a devoted community builder and has co-founded Oslo AI, a non-profit dedicated to building the AI community in Oslo. And he is also a great self-proclaimed evangelist of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So this will be exciting. So Xiaopeng, please go ahead and we'll listen to your talk.
Thank you so much, Morten, and it's such a pleasure to be here. Let me start by sharing my screen. So I think the interface looks slightly different than before, but I found it. So there you go. Let me enter into presentation mode. So thank you, Morten, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here with the community from NORA. So I do know that the audience, today will have a slight more focus on the startup side of things. So I want to start by introducing, what Microsoft has to offer specifically for startups. So we don't have that much time today, so I will be rather, fast in my presentation, but we will make sure to share the slides, for the audience, so you can read more in details afterwards. So I think, you might be very familiar with the different products and services we offer from Microsoft, but we actually have a dedicated program for startups. So when it comes to that, we do support your product development, your business scaling, from different aspects. First of all, obviously, we have a fantastic product portfolio, all the way from Azure to GitHub to our productivity suite that we can offer to you to support your, business operations and product development and, research and innovation for sure. And then we also offer, personal connections, community support, technical advisory, commercial mentorships to make sure you have the right access to knowledge and also experts when it comes to building your products, but also scaling your business. So let's make it very concrete. When it's come to the support on the product development side, we can provide you free access to Azure. That's our cloud and AI platform. Up to $120,000. So that's quite a big amount. for startups to actually build their products on. And then obviously, we know a lot of you are developers or tech entrepreneurs, so you can also have access to our Visual Studio, GitHub, etc. And then obviously, some of you will be using, different business operation systems like, CRM or ERP or, productivity and collaboration tools. Those will also be provided as access to you as part of this program. And as I mentioned briefly before, we also have a global pool of experts which can act as your technical advisors. It doesn't matter if you're building products, in the AI space or, in any particular industry, we can connect you with the right experts, both from a technical but also from a commercial point of view. We also have mentorship program where we have, former entrepreneurs or experts when it comes to B2B, sales, marketing, etc. People like myself, really, and even more senior profiles to give you access and give you, guidance on how to, for example, build a go-to-market strategy, how to do sales and marketing towards, large enterprises, etc. And then obviously we will provide you with different events and workshops where you can interact with other startups around the world, but also learn from each other and learn from the, the experts from Microsoft and our partner ecosystem. Last but not least, obviously, if you use Azure, we will provide you with our standard support, and that's 24/7, available to you globally. So that's a very quick introduction to our startup program. But then, of course, today the focus is really on the cloud services. So allow me to give you also a quick introduction on the Microsoft Cloud. So I think most of you, understand the cloud from Microsoft as Azure. But then, our cloud offering is beyond that. So everything you see on this picture is considered Microsoft Cloud. Obviously, Microsoft Azure is really the foundation layer here. And then, of course, supported by our, portfolio across identity, security, compliance, etc., which is essential because we believe, Microsoft really runs on trust. And those solutions ensure that our services will be trusted by customers of all sizes. And then on top of Azure, as you can see, we have GitHub, which are, the favorite, tooling for developers. And then we have Microsoft Power Platform, which are essentially a set of tools which are more friendly to business users. So you can basically build applications without knowing how to program. And then on top, we have different, SaaS or software services. Obviously, LinkedIn as the main social network. And then we have, Microsoft Dynamics 365. So that's our, customer relationship management and enterprise resource planning software suite. Last but not least, many of you are using Microsoft 365 on a daily basis, and that includes, Outlook, Word, etc., but also, Teams and the surrounding services. So let's zoom in a little bit on Azure. So Azure, obviously, that's the brand of our cloud and AI platform from Microsoft. So when it comes to Azure, we do have services on the different layer of the tech stack, so to speak. So on the basic part, on the foundational part, you can see the infrastructure. So obviously, we provide compute, network storage, etc. But it's worth mentioning that, security and identity are becoming a really strong focus area for Microsoft. In fact, Microsoft is actually by many measures the largest security company right now in the world. So you are not only buying, advanced, innovative cloud, but you're also buying secure cloud if you work with us. And then obviously we have a lot of, what we call platform as a services that we can offer to you. So that absolutely include services, across data analytics, AI, and machine learning, which will be a top of mind for many of you in the audience. Last but not least, we have IoT services and edge services which you have access to. So that means you can not only develop and innovate in the cloud, you can even bring those innovation capabilities to the edge. So let me move on to some of the differentiators for our Azure cloud. So obviously the first thing is about availability. We have Azure regions, more than 60 of them around the world. It's actually more than the combination of our main competitors. And obviously Microsoft offers one of the most secure clouds in the world. As I mentioned, we are actually one of the largest security providers in the world right now. And security is not only offered as products, but also deeply embedded in all the other products and services we offer to our customers and partners. Last but not least, compliance is really a top of mind for ourselves, but for many of our customers and partners. So we do have a strong portfolio of compliance offerings, as you can see. So we're complying to not only global standards, but some of the regional standards, for example, GDPR, etc. So I just want to quickly mention that more than 95% of the Fortune 500 companies are using Microsoft Azure. Why am I talking about this in a startup setting? Because many of you will be selling to those large enterprises when you scale your startup products. So if you know that your enterprise customer are on Azure, then it's definitely an advantage for you to build and scale on Azure, because obviously for easier integration and onboarding for your customer in the future. So very briefly on our portfolio when it comes to data analytics, as I mentioned, very broad portfolio. So as you can see here, starting with the databases. So, we can obviously support you to move your, legacy system to the cloud. And that includes different databases, be it SQL or open source databases like MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB, etc. Actually, in fact, Microsoft has invested, massively into the open source space. You probably have heard many news. So we're now, really incorporating the open source innovation into our strong product portfolio. Next, so cloud native applications. So this is really for, you startups who are actually born in the cloud, building applications in the cloud. So here you can tap into our managed databases, but also, things like container services, Azure Kubernetes services or Azure Red Hat OpenShift. So that's our, open source offering in collaboration with Red Hat as well. Very briefly on analytics and insights, here we have our Azure Synapse, providing a modern enterprise scale data warehouse, and then our strong data visualization and analytics products, Power BI, which is clearly a market leader globally. Next one on data science. So we provide a not only innovative, but also responsive approach when it comes to data science. So we offer our products like Azure Machine Learning and Azure Databricks for you to really, build AI and machine learning products on the cloud. Last but not least, I want to mention data governance. So, data is valuable, but need to be handled with care. So as you grow as a startup or when you mature into an enterprise, you need to make sure you have a clear overview on, what data you have, where are they stored, and how you are using data across the organization. So that's when data governance come into play. And we have products such as Azure Purview that would enable you to achieve that. To zoom in on AI, so I just want to mention three things, particularly, when it comes to developers and data science audience. So as you can see on the bottom part of this slide, so we do have Azure Machine Learning targeting data scientists. So if you are a data scientist, and if you want to build and train models of your own, you are so welcome to use Azure Machine Learning. And if you actually want to tap into, pre-trained models, cognitive services, sometimes we refer to as, you will be able to access vision, speech, language, decision. Those are pre-trained models, but customizable for you, so you don't have to start from scratch. And if you are a developer, which are not necessarily familiar with data science or building models, you can also tap into what we call scenario-based services, or sometimes we refer them as applied AI services. So those are basically pre-built services you can call as simple as using an API. So you can basically develop AI-powered solutions without knowing data science or without building the model yourself. So I think those are fantastic tools for you to check out. So it doesn't matter if you are a developer or data scientist, you can tap into the power. And obviously, as you can see on the top, all the business users using our software products, and we also have AI capabilities embedded into those products and services that is available to you. Last thing I want to mention is that to provide you not only with product and services, but also to help you to scale up in the cloud. to learn how to use cloud, securely, compliantly, but also innovatively. We have a massive, portfolio of learning resources free of charge to you. So, on the left, we have Microsoft Learn platform, which you can, learn at your own pace. And on the right, we have different, events, workshops free of charge to you. So you can, really follow experts and go deeper into specific specialization. I'm gonna stop here and hand over to my friends from Safespring. Thank you.
So great, Xiaopeng. Just one question before we move on. So when the way we develop software in academia, or all algorithms in academia, and the way we develop algorithms in business as a startup is very different. So do you, for example, we don't, academics don't really care about the neatness of code. For example, we want to prove a case mostly, but put into real world as a startup, that is very important. So how would you say is Azure and the cloud service supporting both those scenarios, or is it mostly for business sector, public sector?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. Obviously, we have a very comprehensive portfolio, and I would say we have services, for the different needs that you laid out. So I think for startups, it's really about speed, right? Because it's a very competitive environment. They have to build products and innovate really fast. So they want to have access to the latest product innovations, which for example, from the AI portfolio you have seen, they have access to from Azure. And then from the academic point of view, I think it's more about, making sure that, we have the highest standard when it comes to, precision, and also using the latest and most advanced models and that will be, available in the market. I think, from that angle, our collaboration with OpenAI, that would come into play. So we give access, to the academic, the most advanced, neural networks that we have worked together with, and make them available through Azure. So I think that's super exciting.
Very nice to hear, and we look forward to hearing more from you during the debate, because now we're moving on to Safespring and Safespring Norge, and Kristian Fjellhaug, who has more than 25 years of experience in IT and IT sales, including senior sales position in Gartner, VMware, and Arrow. So, Kristian, the floor is yours. You are muted, Kristian.
Now you can hear me.
Yes, perfectly.
That's good. Thank you for inviting us. My name, I work as the sales director for Safespring in Norway. And together with me, I have Jarle Bjørgengen, which will cover the Q&A session together with me later on. As you probably don't know Safespring as well as Microsoft and IBM, I will give you a short introduction to Safespring. Safespring is a Swedish company mainly operating in Sweden and Norway, but we also have frame agreements with research and education community across the whole Europe through Shant and an agreement called UKRE. We have a long history of delivering cloud infrastructure to the research and education market. And also a great part of our staff is coming from the university sector. Our services are based on open standards with no lock-in. We offer single sign-on through FIDE, and we are a member of Gaia X. We are also directly connected to the NREN network, like Uninet in Norway and Sunet in Sweden. And routing can be done inside the NREN network. Our product roadmap is frequently discussed with the Nordic entrants, as this is our most important market today. I would like to touch a little bit on some of our references and partners so that you can see a little bit more on what Safespring is all about. Big picture is a central repository for digital pathology. They aim to store more than 3 million high-quality pathology images, and that equals up to 5 petabytes of storage. They will use AI models to recognize patterns and, for example, find cancer at an earlier stage than we do today. The data will be operated and hosted at SUNET data center that are running with help from Safespring. So we operate the environment. Another partner of us are one of our partners are Elasticys. Elasticys offer a compliant managed Kubernetes platform hosted at Safespring. This enables companies like yourself to focus on your applications, and the compliant Kubernetes takes care of the GDPR and making sure that it is certified. The last to touch on is a company called Scale-Out Systems. Scale-Out Systems have a product called Stacken, and Stacken is a machine learning service. Stacken is a DevOps way of building, training, and deploying machine learning models into production. Jarle will, if you want, probably give a little bit more detail on the different partners in the Q&A sessions later. Another important thing is also how the cloud market is changing, and due to Schrems, the focus is shifting towards European cloud vendors like Safespring, and especially for personal data. We have a compliance conflict and a conflict of interest, especially towards the US, and US companies needs to comply with US law. An example of this is the Swedish tax authorities. The Swedish tax authorities concluded that due to GDPR, they cannot use Microsoft Teams and are now looking into European alternatives. This, so yeah, if you can call it a movement, is even more today in Sweden than Norway, but the rules and the regulations are the same, and this discussions is also picking up rapidly in Norway. I will leave you with some of our references in the Enron community. I think that you will see that we have a lot of references within the sector, within the universities, and also within research and healthcare. And one of the common things among all our references is the compliance and the personal data they need to secure. So yeah, that's it for now. And back to you, Morten.
So thank you, Kristian. Schrems is something that has been on everybody's lips the last months or so.
Oh, yes.
certainly influenced my university. Do you see that that court case, which essentially says that you cannot share personal data with a United States company? Do you see that as a business opportunity or as something that is problematic for Safespring?
I would say that for Safespring, it's a business opportunity, of course, but it's also a little bit difficult because a lot of the services that are used out there is US based. Mm-hmm. But I think the important thing is that the EU needs to pick up. We need to be able to compete and have our own services, applications and services that can compete with the US products and services, because I don't think this will go away.
Oh, right. Yes, because we use those services all the time, you know, sharing stuff on Google Cloud, just like so standard. So, but now there's also a Swedish European-based system that can take the lead here potentially. We look forward to hearing more from you and your colleague Jarle in the debate in some minutes. And then we open the stage for Frode Langmoen, Senior Technical Specialist and Solution IT Architect from IBM Nordic Regions. So he has been involved in technical community for more than 30 years. It doesn't look like that, but apparently he's part of the IBM Accelerator team working on startups, scale-ups, and solution providers. So it's a perfect fit for NORA.startup webinar. And he's been helping more than 100 companies. And now today he's trying to help a little bit more. So Frode, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Morten. Thank you very much. And it's good to see that Safespring has been working with one of my startups, actually, Elasticys and Robert Winter. I've been there up and in Umeå working with these guys for some years. So great. I just go to my desktop and share my screen, see if I can find it. See, put it into full screen mode. If that is working. Yeah.
It looks very
you see that?
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. So my name is Frode, and that is Norwegian. I'm from Åsnes, Flisa, not so far away from Kongsvinger. But I've been working in Sweden and in the Nordic region for many years. So I'm actually sitting outside Gothenburg at the moment. But I'm working in Norway, I'm working in the Nordic countries, and I work with the startup and scale-up community. So what we try to do with this accelerator and the startup program is to help these innovative companies around Nordic to be successfully and maybe take them out as the new Klarna or the new Spotify. So we try to do that, but of course it's very hard to get this the new Spotify into the world market, but we try as best we can. So here's some examples of companies that I've been working with the last year, and everybody of them is in the blockchain or in the AI community or working with these kind of technologies. Voxo is one very good company working with conversation and AI in conversation. They have big customers in banks. Food Chain by Blockchain is another company in the blockchain area in the farm level. Another is Greenlytics out of Sweden, working with power trading of solar or wind energy. And these are some of the companies that we actually have been working with them. And here's examples. We try to do the marketing with these guys. We try to do videos with this and also the technology with this kind of companies. And we engage in Accelerator personally. So I'm personally engaged in these companies. So we have kind of two flavors. We have a programmatic, the startup program, but we have also the accelerator. where we as an individual is working closely with these companies, both from a technical point of view, but also in the go-to-market and the marketing. So we try to use our network with partners and also the IBMers and other that is in the network to create successfully startup and scale-ups. And we are not just a tech company here. We are also the holding the hands of these startup and scale-ups. So when we are looking into the companies for the accelerator, we are looking into startup that is very innovative and also have a market and also have a match with IBM that we can give them value and they can give us a value. We are working more in the business to business area, so not too much the business to consumer. We have some startups there, but it's most in the business to business area. And of course, we are in all spaces from banking, insurance, manufacturing, telco, media and entertainment, and so on. So we are in all the spaces there, and we are helping these guys in that space. We have a plan. So when I'm talking to a new startup or scale up, I want to see what are they doing. I want to review them, and I want to set a plan with just them, not a programmatic plan. And we try to onboard them. We drive them through our sales and marketing place, and then we have the scale and growth area, and then we graduate them. And in the graduate phase, they are treated as an IBM partner, but also connected to our ecosystem with other partners and so on. And this program is a 12-month program that we are running in the accelerator. We have our own site here. You can go and take a look at the Startup Sweden site, but we are also working with the Norwegian Cognitive Center in Bergen. So Odd Gervin and the guy up in Bergen, they can help you also with this kind of task or if you want to be part of this startup program or accelerator program. So I've personally been working a lot with Odd in the Norwegian Cognitive Center in Bergen, helping them out. We have also the startup program that everybody can actually go into without talking to IBM or talking to Odd, or you can just go there, go as a startup, get the free credits, and off you go. And we have about 170 different kind of services. And as Microsoft, you get $120,000 for free in credits for using when you are doing development. And you have that all the technical help from IBM architects, marketplace, onboard support. We also own Red Hat, so you also get support from Red Hat. And of course, the marketing and sales support. Here is some of the products or the services we have. And you see up in the left corner, it's a lot of AI. We have the Watson Studio. We are working a lot with open source products. A lot of these products is also invoking open source. And we have analytics, security, developer tools. We have also the compute down here where we have base servers, like Windows servers, like Linux servers, and of course also like power servers, because you have their own chip called Power. Last week we announced a new Power 10 server with 30% less energy and double the performance. So we have a lot of things in our suitcase here, from databases, storage, networking, integration. And of course, IoT, edge application servers. Most of them is built out of open source. Another thing we have that you can have a think of is quantum computing. And you can actually sign on to a quantum computer and try to do that, try to create solutions around that. And some of the actually startup we are working with in Nordic is in this space, working with quantum, and you actually get a real quantum computer that you can play with. So that's an offer from IBM to you guys, that go in here, take a look and talk to our CTO in Norway about quantum and how quantum can help you out. I'm personally working with AstraZeneca in their BioVenture Hub. AstraZeneca has a own environment where they have about 35 startups in the life science and medical area, where we at IBM is helping them with technology, but also with advice. So we are used to working in this space with your medical, life science, and so on companies in the BioVenture Hub. The BioVenture Hub is sitting in Gothenburg at AstraZeneca's research and development, in the middle of the research. So every company that is approved for that can also work with AstraZeneca guys and get advice from these guys. We have also connections to Volvo in the Mobility X Lab, ABB in the Synnerly, and other of these big companies networking where we are talking, a lot of with these specialists in, say, ABB, or specialists with automotive and so on. Here's some examples. I'm working with a company called Trust Anchor Group. Micropayments. Why cannot a car pay for itself? Putting a wallet in a sensor, and the sensor can pay. Another one, intelligent logistics, video analytics with AI. They have big companies like PostNord, Volvo Logistics, Scania, and so on. Very, very, very good solutions with AI and video. Another one, smart cash management. Asteria have Swedbank as a customer. Smart AI cash flow. Another one called Viking Analytics from Gothenburg. They have data insight as a service. So you as an SME in industry, you don't have to be an educated PhD in analytics or in AI to actually create value. They're doing that for you. Other one is the Greenlytics guys. You saw it before. Wind power forecasts using advanced AI for trading. Retail, we are working with a company called NORA in food, not in food, in fashion. Advanced analytics there in the fashion area. They are out from Stockholm. Actually talking to Norwegian companies when we are in the healthcare with corona-free applications and all the stuff that is around health pass. The health pass is in blockchain, but everything around it is based on advanced AI, some lab analysis, and also a lot of integration. Another one is called Nagoon, people safety, spatial computing used, for instance, for Bosch. A good company out of Luleå called Thingway, Industry 4.0. They have a mesh network down in a mine, working with mining companies around the world. Very, very cool technology that they can use and that they use. This is a cool project I had in January, February. We actually put traceability on a beer. So a beer out of a small local brewing company, we put blockchain on that process, and and then we put it out to Systembolaget. So I actually have a beer here that I maybe take later this evening. And that was the spårbar öl, and the beer was called Helt spårat, and we did everything in that kind of process. So next step is actually to put in some AI capabilities in this chain, and it is based on IBM Food Trust. And Food Trust, we are actually using Food Trust and a lot of things in Norway when they're talking about salmon and salmon farming, where we use blockchain, IBM Food Trust, AI, and some of these companies around this kind of ecosystem is actually startup. I'm working with some startups in Norway now in this ecosystem that is very, very promising. You are going to hear about it in maybe 6 months or something like that. Yeah. Any questions?
That sounds very interesting, Frode. and I know that you're a good marketer when you can sell beer on a Friday evening, getting close. That's perfect. My question to start off is on quantum computer. You're one of the few that kind of delivers that as a service.
Yeah.
I learned now. So how is it to program such a computer? Do I use a standard programming language like Python?
No, you have to go kind of we have online educations, so you can actually go there. You don't have to, start with creating the account, but you can go with the education, and everything is online. Starting with this, we have student ambassadors in quantum. We have Luke, the CTO of IBM Norway. He is very good. He can take you to that space in a good way, and so on. We have a lot of resources that can help you guys, and we actually have research and also in Chalmers in Sweden, they are actually building a quantum computer, but they're also using IBM at the same time. So they have a 2-qubit computer, but they can also run on our 40 qubits machine. So
that sounds exciting. So maybe we'll sign up to that, or maybe at least some of the audience will there. So I would like to welcome the rest of the panelists on board so we can have our discussion. So we heard from 3 companies offering cloud-based solutions to education, to business, to public sector, etc. And it is clearly cloud something is very central to AI and everything that has to computer science in general, I would say. And when I apply for funding for research grants, so one of the things that is clear that always have to be there is how is this system sustainable? And you could argue that a cloud service might not be, because it uses a lot of energy. So how are you solving that, Jarle, for example, the energy consumption part of it?
Well, I think that that question, of course, is important for all of us, and it goes for the whole industry, not only the AI and machine learning.
Sure.
But when we build data centers, we focus on location where we have clean energy, like Norway is a good example of that, of course. Sweden is not too bad either. And this is something that Safespring actually has as a part of their strategic process. It's also a cost thing, of course, but it's also it goes hand in hand with the environment issue. So this is, it is power consumption that is the main problem, I think, in addition to using as little hardware as possible and making efficient systems, of course, to make most out of them.
I saw research from another tech company called Google a couple of years ago. They did AI on top of the cloud computers in order to reduce the energy consumption. Basically, they turn on and off the fans in a smart way so that the energy went left. And at least the research paper claimed to have high performance in that area. And so that could be a way. Is that something you're thinking about, Xiaopeng from Microsoft? Do you kind of reduce the power by pushing it to clean energy places like Norway, or even using AI to reduce power consumption?
Yeah, definitely. So I want to actually take one step back, to your original question, how we address sustainability. Obviously, it's a big topic for us ourselves, to become, carbon neutral, and also, to actually, operate in a sustainable way, but actually to help our customers to run their business sustainably. So, specifically from an Azure point of view, we obviously ensure our data center are built at places where we have access to, renewable energy, and we run our operation in a sustainable way. And that means we actually reuse all the components possible in the data center. Even if we, renovate the data center, we will make sure all the reusable components are reused. And then, of course, we work a lot on actually reducing our own carbon footprint, right? So it's not only from a technology point of view, but we actually also encourage our employees to be very, environment conscious. For example, when it comes to, flights, etc., right? Think twice before you do that, and only do it when it's essential. At least from my point of view, that's my guidance to myself. And then, when it comes to enabling customers and partners, we actually recently launched something we call Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. So that's basically a cloud suite for customers and partners to actually, track their carbon footprint and also start to account, their environmental impact, and then use certain tools and then frameworks from Microsoft to reduce their carbon footprint. I think that's really cool.
That sounds very cool. And students who I collaborate a lot with often mention this. So we want to make algorithms that is not only solving something perfectly, but also that uses less energy in a way. And I would assume that IBM, who is focusing a lot on students, has the same type of
yeah, of course.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's of course it's correct. And I am actually mentioned that we actually announced a Power 10 server. You know the Power architecture. The Power architecture is actually a little secret. So if you go into and look into the internet to see what Google is running on their cloud, they actually have maybe Power servers there. IBM is using a lot of Power, and that is so much more efficient, both from a power but also from power and power.
Yeah.
So and we actually have the Open Power Foundation, so you actually can create your own Power server based on that. So take a look at that and see how you can actually use that kind of technology by yourself. And we use that a lot in our data centers, of course. Another thing we have is that you actually can take the cloud and put it local. We call it cloud packs. So you can take a cloud pack and put it on a local data center in Norway or in Sweden or wherever. So everything you actually saw, more or less everything you saw in my 170 services, you can run locally in a cloud pack. Or you can run it actually on Azure. So you can run IBM services and AI, IBM AI on Azure, or on AWS, or on Google. We don't actually, we care, but of course we are not forcing you to a technology or to a service provider.
So one of the things that your IBM is famous for is, in addition to all the things you mentioned now, is those a research push, I would say, like Watson playing Jeopardy, that type of thing. So how much of that research is back in the cloud service? If I use an IBM service as cloud, how much of the big tech push that you're so famous for is available to me?
You have it in the Watson stuff in the machine learning and AI. The latest one is the debater. We have that in the chatbot. So you can have a debate for or against, and that kind of technology we actually put in the chats, in the chatbots. So that is one thing. Another thing is very groundbreaking technology. We are working with battery technology that is based on salt water, not on other things that you can get from a mine. So we have examples of startups that want to work with us to build batteries on salt water.
Yes, there's enough salt water around, I would argue.
Yeah, I think so. It's more salt water than cobalt and other things around the world. Yeah,
absolutely. And Safespring, how do you see this? How do you attract students to work for your company? How do you support students in doing innovation, this type of work?
Well, we have the advantage that we are tightly connected, as Kristian said, to both the national research and education networks, but also the institutions that are there. And in Norway, we have already integrated with FIDE, an identity provider, so that we also, I mean, most of our customers are actually coming from these institutions, and SUNET is a very good example of that. They're now building or have built Nextcloud environment because they moved away from, or they are moving away from Box due to the problems with Schrems. And as Kristian said, there's much more focus on this problem in Sweden, and that's really, yeah, this is good for us. We have more business in Sweden than in Norway, but we will also believe that this will happen in Norway, that people wake up and see the problems.
Yeah, your background looks more Norwegian than Swedish, I would say. I'm not sure if
it is actually.
Okay, but so student startups and startups in general are often, it's of course trying to acquire money either from private or from public, like Innovation Norway, Research Council of Norway. Are you partnering with some of them? If you start with Safespring again, and then we move on to the others.
Yeah, we don't. We have what we think, to answer the first question in your pre-made questions, is that I think it touches upon that as a startup, what you would look for in a cloud service provider. I think if I were a startup, even if it's a machine learning or if it's a other kind of startup, I think simplicity and flexibility is a really, and compliance, of course, that goes for everything that treats personal and sensitive data. Those three aspects is really, really important. And simplicity is, of course, that it's simple to comprehend services and use them. And it's that you have a lot of self-service that you can do that. And we have that on all levels, basically. We have it on the infrastructure level with the OpenStack API and the Ceph API, S3 for storage. If you want another level up, we have it on compliant Kubernetes through Elastic's partnership. Standard Kubernetes API that you can deploy applications on, and even with StackN on top of Kubernetes, which is basically providing you with machine learning as a service with Jupyter Hub, Python scripting included, where you can model and train your model, build your model, and deploy it as a REST service and consume it. I think that's really attractive, and Scale-out Studio, which is their main product, is offering that as a, so you can have it. You have that flexibility, you have the simplicity. The most simple way for a machine learning startup is with the Scale-out systems, where you can go straight into Scale-out Studio and start doing machine learning. And we also have the compliance part in place, so to say, just by not being American.
Yeah, that's true, and a lot of opportunities there. What about you, Xiaopeng? So how do you encourage students to collaborate with you? Is it through funding schemes? Additionally, do you offer support to master students, for example, that want to do a Microsoft type of project? How do you do it?
Yeah, so absolutely. So, first of all, we have a very strong education team here in Norway, and they're engaging with, educational institute, all the way from, schools, but also to higher education research institute, to provide them with the right technology to enable, not only from a remote learning point of view, but also from research and innovation point of view. And then, as I mentioned, we have the Microsoft for Startup program, which are definitely available for, young entrepreneurs, even if they're still students, so they have access to the tools and funding. And we also have something called AI for Good. So that's a program where we provide research funding to actually, researchers. So this is more relevant for maybe, students who are at a more later stage of their study, like master students or PhD. So there we specifically have something called AI for Earth, for example. So that's for, students who want to, do innovation projects within this space, looking into how can we, leverage AI to solve sustainability related topics. So I think last but not least, we also have actually a venture capital firm arm within Microsoft. It's called M12. So M12, so Microsoft Ventures. So basically, we also do invest into selected startups and scale ups around the world. So we do, really interact with the students at multiple fronts.
Good. So that means that both students can apply for funding, and you can even get investments from Microsoft. But what about projects that are in the student curriculum, like a bachelor thesis or a master's thesis? Do you provide the supervision for those, or?
So I personally haven't been involved in that, but I do know, for example, last year we had some requests from NTNU, Open AI Lab, actually, when it comes to a research proposal. So I do know some of my colleagues are supporting that. And actually, I recently had a very good conversation with some students from Oslo Met. They started a AI society within the company, within the university called the NeuroMet, which is a wordplay. I love it. So basically, they were wondering, if we can provide some guest lecture, technical workshops, and of course the answer is yes. So we're always very happy, to engage with the younger generation, make sure, they are on top of the latest innovations within the AI space.
Yeah, and I know that IBM has also been heavily involved with, among other, Oslo Met.
That's true.
And I guess you're targeting the education system.
Yeah, of course. We have the IBM university programs, also the research stuff from IBM that your researcher can talk to IBM researchers and do joint projects. That's another one. We have also the IBM venture arm that is there. That's the same as Microsoft, of course. And I personally have been working with some of the students for master thesis in Gothenburg, both Chalmers and Göteborgs University. Some years ago, I actually was up in NTNU also and talked to these guys up there in the AI space, Watson space. I haven't been there for some years, so maybe I can get an invitation again. So of course, and we are working with Vinnova in Sweden and Innovation Norway. That we have some of these projects with these guys. Yeah,
that sounds great. So we're getting close to an end, and I will end the session with a question for you all. And this is, what do you think NORA startup should be in 5 years' time? So let's assume that you say NORA and NORA startup would be a great collaborator to you for some reason, and it support you. What will be the actual thing that we can do if we start with Frode? So IBM collaborates with NORA in some excellent way.
Yeah, of course. We are having these great success stories of the new Spotify that is building this new exceptional good AI solution that is solving the world.
Yes, and you can help us a bit away. What about you, Xiaopeng? NORA is looking towards Microsoft, and they're saying, we will help. Collaboration?
I think we had a few interactions, in the past month, and which was absolutely fantastic, and we look forward to more collaboration. So for me, NORA, and especially NORA startup, is really the connecting tissue that bridge, the academia, industry, and startups. And obviously, we're coming from the industry point of view, but we are, really eager to connect further with the community facilitated by NORA in the future.
And for Safespring, NORA collaboration, NORA could support your work in some way. What would be the perfect one?
Yeah, that's the reason why we're here, isn't it? So yeah, we have this partner, Scale Out System, which is our core partner when it comes to what NORA actually does. And I think that will be we can build and deliver this Scale Out studio, and it will be familiar for everybody that actually been through education systems. They're using Python and Jupyter notebooks and stuff like that. But also as a startup, then it's important to not only to work on that training the model and developing the model, but actually using it in production as well, and even feedback that knowledge back into the model for further training. And all those components are standard components in standard data connectors in Scale-out Studio, and also Scale-out systems. It's actually, they come from this field themselves. That it's a startup that comes from, so that is started by people that actually, they are a startup themselves, basically.
Perfect. Great ending note there. So, and then we conclude the NORA startup and remind everybody that in 2 weeks' time, there will be another NORA startup webinar, that time on AI and pedagogics. And next Thursday, we also have, for members only, the startup meet and mingle, which will then be put in the chat registration. So the last chance to register for a NORA startup meet and mingle physical event in Oslo is getting close. For the rest of you, I wish you a nice weekend and a nice start of the fall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for having me. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.